All right, here we are. Welcome to the cash desk for Schalke No Fear versus Fnatic. Thank me for that awesome interview.
Wow, thank you, Drakos. You're great. I love your voice.
We gotta get the us time in now, because in a few moments it's gonna be all about Schalke No Fear and Fnatic, and it will be for the rest of the day. But for a brief moment, it's about us. Hi, I'm Drakos.
Hello.
This is Caedrel. We're going to be the guys telling you everything that you need to know about the game, supported, of course, by our wonderful analyst desk. Love the breakdown that we have. Love that there are divided predictions. Ender, confident 3-0. Zanzarah 3-1. We are so torn on the desk. We're actually going to ask Twitch chat to help us at the start of our cast decide who is actually the favorite in this series, because it is so close. The stakes are so high, and it's hard to say definitively who will come out on top.
Yeah, if you asked me this a couple weeks ago, I'd say Fnatic's looking good, they're looking strong, but if you look at the playoffs, Schalke almost beat G2.
And if you can almost beat G2, you can certainly beat Fnatic. That's how it goes. Let's get into picks and bans.
Oh, yes.
Like the music choice. As we get into picks and bans, it is important to remember that this is an elimination match. These two teams have been rising. Their first round of playoffs, both very successful for both orgs. That said, important to set expectations heading here into picks and bans, and already the Hecarim being banned away is going to be big against Schalke.
Yeah, loser is out. That means you're finishing in 5th place, and Fnatic, that would be an absolute disaster. I think the last time they finished 5th place was 2016 summer, so that's a very long time ago. They definitely don't want that to come back and haunt them, so we'll have to see how they do in this series. So as the bans are coming out, it looks like Alistar, Thresh, Orianna, Hecarim, and we'll have to see how the meta evolves, because we've seen the EU playstyle. It was like blind pick Scions, engage supports, farming junglers with Hecarim Udyr, and then it was just lots of brawling around mid. Whereas if you look at LPL and LCK over the last week, it's lots of Varus, it's lots of Ezreal, it's lots of Gnar again, Renekton's back up there, and Tahm Kench for me and Braum have been like these standout supports because they're good into things like Alistar and Rell.
And while you mentioned internationally, of course, it's not just going to be international meta that's going to force a change here. It's the bans that we're seeing already. Keep in mind, Jinx, the standout hyper carry from last weekend, Hecarim, Alistar, Orianna, all champions that looked just about unbeatable. Orianna 6-1 rather over the course of the weekend, nigh unstoppable. But something is going to change here today. And as BrokenBlade starts to debate his picks, I don't think he's going to pick a top laner here. Probably just the Udyr for Gilius. And we know Hecarim and Udyr, those are the picks that Gilius has been successful on. As long as he has one of those, Schalke fans can feel pretty confident that he will be impacting the early game in a good way.
Yeah, the last 10 games that Gilius has played, barring the Karthus Nocturne game, is Hecarim, Udyr, Hecarim, Udyr, Hecarim, Udyr. Non-stop those two champions. So the first pick Udyr makes sense. Get Gilius on a comfort champion. He did really well against G2 in the early game, in that game 4, game 5 on the Udyr itself. But Fnatic first rotating a TF here. Orianna's down, Alistar's down, they've picked up the Rell, and I think Limit doesn't really have an engaged support left unless he wants to go for something like Leona. So have to see how Abbedagge counters mid here, but I think they're just abusing Schalke's bans here, because Schalke banned out Orianna themselves. They banned out Tristana, which are two answers into into Twist Fate, sorry, and the only answer is Lucian in terms of winning the lane. So we'll have to see how Schalke approach this. You could also go for something like the Zoe, which has risen up a lot in the LPL SK, but that's going to be a Sylas mid into the TF, which makes sense because you can match his ultimate.
Going to be very big. Of course, it feels like Fnatic in this first pick ban phase kind of expected the Udyr lock-in, punished it, knowing that they could get 2 priority champions, knowing that Gilius so far has only really shown 2 champions across playoffs. It has been the Hecarim and the Udyr, so now set up for success. But good news for Schalke, again, ready to adapt, ready to respond. Abbedagge with a more aggressive mid lane pick like the Sylas, not something we've seen from him a lot, but obviously a very powerful pick in its own right, and now denying the Kai'Sa Rell combo from the side of Fnatic.
Yeah, will Fnatic pick up their AD carry or their jungler here? You're going to have to sack one no matter what, because you picked your mid. Looks like they're going to go for the Xayah, which is a response into Kai'Sa. I remember speaking to a couple of the pro AD carries in the LEC, and they say Xayah is just a good answer to Kai'Sa, because in the mid game, Kai'Sa wants to land her W, go for an assassination. Xayah ult kind of counters that, so it nullifies the assassination potential that Kai'Sa has. We've seen it throughout the whole split, like even Hansama assassinating Humanoid, Kai'Sa versus Syndra, things like this. It's kind of like an assassin in the mid game when she gets those 2 items, but we'll have to see what jungler Fnatic want to go to here, because I think Volibear was the best champion for Selfmade in that playoffs game, in that playoff series, and it was the standout champion to me because he had so much success on it alongside Hecarim. If they can ban that away, you're looking at things like the Lilia, perhaps the Nidalee even.
Something to be considered most certainly. And additionally, top lane always going to be a big factor here. Volibear, obviously the big power pick that has broken out, not considered as high priority as the Hecarim or the Udyr, but was very impactful in early games across each and every one of our series.
Yeah, and I have an inkling here about Fnatic's draft. with that Jace ban. They might go for something like a Renekton or a Gnar and then draft a Nidalee. So I hope Schalke read this, because they can get a really strong comp here if they get something like the Renekton Nidalee on 4-5 or something along those lines with the AP jungler to set up with the TF and then a very strong split pushing counter pick top. Something along those lines would be really, really strong for Fnatic. And we know BrokenBlade likes to counter pick top. We saw it so much with the Darius into Sion.
Because there was a period in time in this split. For Fnatic, it was the last series where Bwipo was the pressure tank. He was the one kind of absorbing pressure left and right. When Schalke were slumping, it was BrokenBlade who was playing the tanks all the time. And frankly, Caedrel, I would love it if we got a series where no one plays Sion, and God bless, no one can in the first game because it's been banned away, and we are back to all-out brawling in the top side. Now, with Sion banned, on the Euphoria podcast this week, we heard Oduwamne talk about it. When Sion's off the table, Urgot, incredibly powerful blind pick. So it would be interesting to see if that's what Schalke want to go for here. BrokenBlade, of course, you'll remember in Week 8, absolutely popped off on the pick, but it is important to note, Bwipo was one of the OG Urgot players, played it long after it was out of the meta, and taking that matchup into someone who knows exactly what it's going to do would be a big risk. Instead, it's going to be the GP.
Yeah, so let's look at the Olaf pickup for Fnatic first before we look at the GP itself, because the Olaf pickup makes sense. High tempo jungling early game, can contest 2v2s with Twisted Fate. I really like Fnatic's early game here. The Gangplank signals that they're playing for more team fights here, and it counters the TF, right? TF goes up towards the top side. You can use your orange to escape that. But I'm looking at things like maybe Gnar, Urgot, these kind of things that Bwipo can last pick. Is that going to be a Blitzcrank lock-in? I doubt it's going to go into it. So the Leona, as we expected, into Rell makes a lot of sense. So now I have to see what Bwipo wants to do, because that's a Lulu top into Gangplank.
Look, we wanted spicy top lane, right?
Yeah.
I thought we'd get a Karma.
Okay.
But instead, it's the Lulu, and respect to them, Upset, of course, has been the hyper carry for the team across their entire series, while everyone has stepped over as Upset, putting out the premier damage numbers. And, well, when you have a Lulu to back you up, it's certainly going to get easier, and even easier now for Selfmade, when he's going to be going 2,000 miles an hour, courtesy of this Lulu wimp.
Exactly, this was definitely planned by Fnatic. I mean, I think they were going to go for this Lulu regardless. Just looking at their comp, right? Olaf, Xayah, things like the Lulu winning into Gangplank, so now you have a winning counterpick top. It's really good with your jungler and your AD carry, and I think the important thing you have to realize is Fnatic's playstyle of the last best of 5, it looked like Bwipo was the weak side, right? Karma, Sion, Gragas, these kind of things were the things he was going towards. The Lulu makes sense, they're sticking to their guns, Upset's going to be the carry, but Selfmade has a lot of resources to work with. You've got a stun bot in mid that can be on any play at any time you want, and your top laner, it's just going to be your support.
And while the draft is gone, I think it's important that we talk about the early game here, Caedrel. What are we looking at? We know Udyr can be super impactful. We know Olaf pretty much has to be impactful. But what lanes are we looking at? Where do both of these teams want to attack?
Yeah, I just feel like Fnatic kind of have pushing solo lanes. I feel like the Lulu's going to push in top, you have the TF pushing in mid in the early game, and then you have almost like a push in bot guaranteed because you have double pushing solo lanes and the Olaf in the early game. So I think Fnatic has a lot of strengths in the early game, but they also have a lot of strengths in the late game with Lulu Xayah. But if you're looking on the other side, things like Schalke, you want to scale. You want to get 2 items, a 2 item Sylas on the side lane, GP ult, and then just look for the team fights with Leona. But we're going to get into game, Drakos. Game 1 of this best of 5, loser is out.
Here we are, on to Summoner's Rift. Game 1, how explosive is it going to be? How crazy is it going to be? We saw a trend over the entire first week of playoffs. Teams in Game 1 compared to Games 2, Games 3, a little bit slower, a little bit more hesitant. Will we see that here in Schalke versus Fnatic? It's something we're going to have to look out for. But for now, you said it, Caedrel. Schalke looking to take it a little slower. They have the luxury of scaling on their side. On the opposite side, Fnatic, I think to the surprise of no one, going to look to leverage some strong laning advantages. And if we've learned anything about this team, it's probably that they will try to fight.
Yeah, I'm guessing Fnatic going to aim to play through bot here. Yes, you can play into your Lulu game in the early game, and Olaf is very good at ganking things like the Gangplank, but getting the Xayah ahead is going to benefit your comp much better, I think, going into the late game, as we've got a pause.
Of course, keep you guys updated as to exactly what is happening here and the pause, but anytime players step foot on the stage, obviously always need some time to adjust, measure your keyboard, make sure everything's good there. You know, make sure you got the right runes and masteries.
Yeah.
It would be a little late for the runes and masteries one, so we'll hope it's not that one, but we'll find out.
I think just going back to the comps itself, because we haven't talked much about Schalke's comp. We've talked a lot about Fnatic. They've got Lulu Olaf for the 2v2. You've got a TF in there to make it a 3v2 for the global itself. And then you're just kind of scaling on the Lulu for the Xayah, right? You're going to be a supportive champ for your team. And you can also still win the early game with the Olaf, right? So Fnatic have a lot of options, which is very interesting. I really like this Lulu last pick. I think he was actually did so well for their draft. I think a frontliner wouldn't work, and you're counterpicking a GP, which is really hard when you want to play with a TF on side lane. So this Lulu pick actually rounds out the comp really well. But looking over across the Schalke's comp, I feel like you have losing lanes, yes, but you have so much tools to engage, right? If TF has no flash, you can get Leona into mid. The Sylas can take over the TF ult and look for his own play on top side to get the GP ahead. And if the GP is ahead and the Sylas is ahead and they're pushing in sides, Fnatic might find it hard to actually find fights in face check and look for these grouped up team fights around the Dragon. If Schalke can play well over the side lanes and collapse first, then I feel like they should be in an advantage in the mid game.
And we've seen how important it is to be the one to start team fights, and especially when you have a GP on your side, because Xayah, while she can be sped up by the Lulu, both Xayah and the Lulu, champions are super vulnerable to that GP ult, especially in the face of a Sylas and an Udyr. If you get slowed down, even if it's a relatively minor slow in the case of the GP ult, 3 champions on the side of Schalke, 4 if Neon wants to join the party, can be on top of you in an instant.
And I think, and also like a really key thing we have to look at here is how Abbedagge uses his ultimate on Sylas. He can take away a Lulu ult. So that means Neon can dive into the backline with the Kai'Sa ult, with the GP ult, and then Lulu ult from the Sylas should make him bigger, stronger, lots more health, so he can definitely stay in the backline for longer. So Abbedagge has 2 really cool ults to work with here. Nisqy's Twisted Fate and Bwipo's Lulu.
And while not as flashy, I think Rell ult's important to call out because it has a ludicrous AP ratio. Of course, you never build AP on this champion because she has to play support and she never has any money. But, you know, who will have money? It's Abbedagge. You know, who can take that ult in that ridiculous AP ratio? It's Abbedagge. So definitely some big ults, some big potential playmaking to look at for both sides. Something I want to call back to a little bit outside of this series. Of course, high-stakes series here, but when we look internationally, everywhere there's playoffs going on, LPL and LCK both starting up, we've seen very, very different metas, Caedrel. We talked about it. We wanted to know, hey, how much is EU going to adopt more of the style that we've seen out of the LPL and LCK, or will we stick with what we saw last week? And we're not sticking 100% with what we saw last week, most certainly, but we're also not really going anywhere near, I think, what we can call the LPL LCK meta. There's no Varus here. There's no Tahm Kench. We're still seeing the super high priority on the Udyr Hecarim. Of course, you see that in LCK too, to be fair, but it's a different look here in week 2 of LEC playoffs.
Yeah, LEC is kind of sticking to their guns. I feel like they're sticking to what works and sticking to comfort. And you can argue which meta is better. You can argue it's to do with comfort, the region's playstyle itself, the team's playstyles, because they scrim each other right. And it's not surprising that LPL and LCK meta are similar in a sense because they can obviously scrim each other. So if you look at the LPL meta, you can see even in the Invictus Gaming versus Rare Atom series, you saw things like Ezreal Bard, you saw Jinx Tahm Kench, Aphelios Tahm Kench, you even saw Ornn Top. I don't think I've seen Ornn Top in a long time in Europe since the item changes.
It's an answer to Renekton, another champion who has mysteriously disappeared entirely.
And even in the LCK, Chovy was playing Renekton mid lane, right? So the Renekton's still high prio despite the nerfs and the Stridebreaker nerfs. Gnar still high prio despite the nerfs and the Stridebreaker nerfs. Tahm Kench seems to be the answer alongside Braum into these melee supports, which Europe hasn't really found apart from G2 when they played Ashe Braum into the Alistar off limit last weekend. And then the jungle is kind of the same still. You've still got Hecarim, Udyr, Nidalee, Lilia. These are the strongest junglers in the game. Hecarim is obviously the most OP.
And we are about to head back into game. As an update, the pause issue, not related to anything in game, was related to lighting on the stage for the players. If you have never played or worked in front of production quality lighting, it is bright by design. So totally understandable that pro players may not want them shining in their face. Of course, want to make sure that every player is as comfortable as possible playing in the stage environment, and small adjustments like this are just necessary from time to time. So thank you for bearing with us. We are now back into game. It is Fnatic versus Schalke. It is an elimination match. Loser of this best of 5 will be going home empty-handed. Winner will face Rogue on Sunday. Oh. And we got a mouse issue.
We got a mouse issue. We can see it right there.
We thought it was wireless. He needed the wire.
Did it run out of battery?
It's miscalculation.
Maybe it's run out of battery.
Peripheral issue, BrokenBlade. We've got the play-by-play on the camera.
Yeah.
He's got the USB. He's got the Rolex ready to go. He's got the unlabeled beverage. This man, he might not get to play Darius, but he's popping out of his mind. We'll, again, keep you updated on this one. Fun fact, if you guys didn't see it, a lot of really good interviews have been coming out recently about the LEC playoffs. BrokenBlade fun fact, when he was asked about Darius, he said, before playing this champion on stage, I hated it because it doesn't matter if you're bronze 5. If you play Darius into me in lane, you can solo kill me. This champion is so stupid.
Especially with Ghost running at you. There's really no counterplay when you have no flash.
We'll see if he picks it again today, though. Now we'll have to see how he feels about it after that one. So that's your interview fun fact. And thank you to Horizon, and now we're into game.
Yeah, and just looking at the game, Hylissang's doing what Hylissang always does. He's controlling this second brush in bot lane. Limit's walking up. Small interaction here, because whoever gets control of this second bot lane brush essentially gets the push because they can threaten the enemy AD carry faster and they can look for fights. So both supports are contesting this bush really heavily, and I like to call it, the only kind of name I've given this bush, this second brush in bot, is the Octagon bush, because it's always melee supports, it's always warded level 1, and it's always a fist fight for this bush control to get the push.
Yeah, and it's full on MMA. And right now it's a little bit tame. No one has bush control. There's no wards there, but you see sweepers on both sides. It's incredibly crucial for Flash, or for these engaged supports, Hex Flash or otherwise. Hex Flash essentially just becomes real Flash when you can do it from Fog of War. So definitely a strong asset to have. That said, you predicted it in draft. Priority right now going very much in favor of Fnatic in the early lanes. Outside of that top lane, Bwipo is suffering a little bit on the level 1. GP, of course, is notoriously oppressive in those first few levels.
I wonder if Bwipo's sort of letting him get the push. I mean, GP is very strong level 1, right? It's very hard to trade into him, but I wonder if he knows Selfmade's pathing up. GP is very vulnerable to ganks to an Olaf. I remember when I was playing alongside Expect a long time ago in XL, he was always like, I don't want to pick GP. They have Olaf in the enemy team. For jungle, it's really hard to survive the gank, so we'll have to see how Selfmade plays around this top side. It makes sense he's playing around the top side in the early because he has Nisqy's TP, get your solo lanes ahead, because bot lane is just going to be pushing. Yes, there's 2 mini spots. Yes, there might be some 2v2 action. As we see it already, Hylissang.
Trade back. Limit now extending the trade, but has been locked up, has been ignited. So the Summoner Spell advantage is going over to the side of Schalke. That said, no greater advantages quite yet. Should just mean that Fnatic get to continue to pressure in here. As we check in on the junglers, Gilius pathing to top side. Similar story for Selfmade, although he does have the bottom Scuttle Crab up and available, and looks like he will start to go towards it now.
I wonder if Gilius will contest it. Maybe he can gank mid here. Abbedagge is quite low. Nisqy's full HP, but the Flash Bear Slap's very strong. Selfmade's around though, so this could be risky.
Gilius recognizes and backs off. Selfmade pathing through mid pays off there. If he is in really any other direction trying to path towards that crab, he would not have been in position in time to respond to the mid lane play.
Yeah. Look at the pressure coming out from Nisqy in this matchup already. Around 10 CS up. Yes, Abbedagge will catch his wave, but he's going to have to give up the rest. So Nisqy can push in this next wave, perhaps. He's going to have the TP as well. Abbedagge cancels his recall. And I think this is something we even saw against G2 when he was playing Azir into caps. He was getting the push into Lucian, trading really well, but his TP timings and his base timings were just off, which in turn made it so he lost the lane. I'll see if he TP's back in time, but Nisqy can save TP here. So really well played from Nisqy in this early lane phase.
Man, interesting, obviously, the start for Abbedagge did opt for the Dark Seal refillable as opposed to the full-on Corrupting Potion that we saw from Nisqy. So does suffer a little bit, but now he's determined to cancel this base. Will be forced to back away. Good news is he still gets there in time to grab the cannon, but it does mean that Nisqy should get a free walk back to lane without having to use a TP of his own.
Yeah, should be able to save the TP. And Nisqy is just a player that, if you look back, he was the third best mid laner in Europe when he did leave, next to Caps, next to Perks. He's been building a lot of identity this season. I think he's more of like a supportive player for Fnatic in a sense, but if you saw them best of 5 against SK, he was playing so much more aggressively. He had 2 games of Lucian. He was doing 31% of his team's damage. He was winning his lane. His Orianna shockwaves were on point in fights, and I feel like Nisqy, for me, has stepped up a lot. As Hylissang is on the wrong side of the rift here. Limits around 2. I think he's dead here.
Okay. Hylissang, of course, notorious for trying to cancel backs to get lane advantages, holding waves and potentially risky spots, and now it has cost him as we have a flash commit from Limit and a first blood. We're going to need a little bit of setup on that one to understand exactly what happened there, but definitely Hylissang overextending, potentially Schalke knowing and punishing this habit, or Hylissang just having a rough time.
Yeah, upset based for his Berserker Greaves. I wonder if Hylissang was trying to cancel Neon's base, but he went way too deep. He was on the wrong side of the map. First blood across. Nisqy trading aggressively in mid here. Gonna have to see the replay there, but it's gonna be a 2v2 top side.
Selfmade now rolling in. That's Gilius gonna be polymorphed here. Selfmade very fast. Good damage coming in. The ulti now coming in as well. The flash, the gold card, the finish off. Nothing they can do. Good response from Fnatic on the top side. With the cannon wave as well, they should be able to grab a few plates here.
Yeah, we talked about this from draft, Drakos. We knew that Fnatic had a stronger top side 2v2. Lulu Olaf is so oppressive in the 2v2. Nisqy just hit 6 as that fight started. So I'm guessing he tried to cancel Neon's space. We'll have to see what he does here. So he doesn't pull the wave. The wave is pushing into them, and I think he's gonna try to cancel it, but Limit's behind him, so he's got nowhere to go.
But he spotted Limit on the ward.
Yeah, that was questionable, but he's trying to stop them again. Neon still hasn't base, so yes, Fnatic bot lane has an advantage here, but there's a fight.
If at first you don't succeed, try again. We got a TP coming into the bottom lane. It does appear that it will be Nisqy moving forward. Upset gonna grab one. It is just a 1-for-1 trade at the end. Does cost Nisqy that TP advantage he built in the mid lane, but I'll be honest, Caedrel, a bit of an odd couple of minutes of play here.
Yeah, most definitely. Abbedagge gets the better end of that. Nisqy gets nothing for TPing bot, and he gets led off kind of there. He did get an assist, it looks like, so must have tagged onto Limit somehow, but Limit played it well, right? He went for the turn, he went for the kill, he went for the 1-for-1. We'll have to see this again because Hylissang's trying to stop bases again. The ward across the wall makes him knows that he stops it, so Upset has an item advantage here. Neon hasn't based because Hylissang's been stopping the bases, so Schalke will actually opt into the 2v2. The TP comes in as Bwipo is getting TF ulted on by Abbedagge.
Bwipo has the ultimate. He'd have to get really tricky to get out of this one. I think pretty much no way that can happen, but maybe he's going to commit onto BrokenBlade. It looks like he's ulting now, has the knockup, stops Abbedagge for now, but he connects the chains, and that certainly should be it. Bwipo running for the hills. Bwipo maybe fast enough. F1, can he do it? The damage. Oh, there's no way. Abbedagge has the dash up again.
He has
the shield up again. Bwipo, the dash forward, the takedown. There will not be a trade back. Bwipo almost makes it out alive, but Abbedagge finishes him off in fashion.
Yeah, Abbedagge almost got taken down there for the one from Bwipo, but these fights across the map are so weird. You got TF holding top for the 3v2, Schalke biting off more than they can chew, then Abbedagge matching it up topside, and the bot 2v2 is going in favor of Fnatic, but the TP was invested, and we'll have to see Selfmade's around. Limit has no flash. Maybe they want to try and set up on Limit. They see him in the bush, so Fnatic wouldn't surprise me if they go for this play. Nisqy's in base though, so he won't be able to join his team, but Gilius is nowhere near.
I'm loving it, Caedrel. You heard in the interview, the new pro player term for just all-out fighting is take it to the streets. They're taking it to the streets, Caedrel.
Yeah.
It's an absolute brawl here. Fnatic committing so much of their time just to try to make this happen. Level 6 Selfmade is important, as you highlighted.
Face check them.
That's going to be a good stun. That has managed to connect Selfmade now with the follow-up. Really no way for Limit to get out of this one. Zenith Blade simply will not be enough. Fnatic grab the kill.
Patience is a virtue. They wait for it. He eventually face checks it because the wave is slow pushing into Fnatic. So good patience there. Gilius instantly starting up the Herald. Good identification. Now Fnatic, if they trade one kill for a Herald, that's quite bad. So I wouldn't be surprised to see them push in mid and try to 4-man bot here when they hear the Herald go down, or try some more proactive plays, because losing a Herald for a kill just isn't worth it.
Is not. You can see, though, Abbedagge in the mid lane is getting a little bit of the better of these trades. Now, Nisqy, it does appear, will be going for one of the Vandal Glass mirror items. Hard to say if that's going to be Moonstone or something else, but definitely a bit more of a supportive option. We've talked about it. Nisqy was one of the big Seraphine players in the regular season, now taking a more supportive take on the TF, as Abbedagge has to run for the hills, but they're just 2v2ing behind enemy lines. He steals the Olaf. Oh, he goes back over the wall. Abbedagge is just too damn clean. Selfmade got nothing on him. Limit rolling up just in time to make it work. 5-3 now in favor of Schalke.
Abbedagge played that fantastically, taking away the Olaf ultimate from Fnatic, using it himself to dodge away from the stun card, and then going back in to finish off Nisqy. Absolutely clean play there from the mid laner of Schalke as they get 2 kills in mid. BrokenBlade getting traded on top side. Bwipo has a lot of pressure here. The orange does save him from the slow. He won't have to flash, and the Herald use mid. How much can they get from this? Can they get a whole tower?
Oh, that's just an incredible start now for Schalke. That Herald is so valuable. 17.1k to 15.3. Only the Ocean Drake, really the consolation prize for the side of Fnatic. That was a stellar skirmish.
Yeah, Schalke off to a 2,000 gold lead 9 minutes into the game here, playing so fantastically around mid lane, using the mid jungle 2v2 of Schalke, but Limit also roamed up here as well. Selfmade goes for the play, and it looks like they've collapsed onto Abbedagge. He has no flash, but he takes away the Olaf ultimate, uses it on the stun card to avoid the stun, and then uses the chains to get back in there. Limit was also there for the chain CC2, and this 3v2 just solidified the whole early game for Schalke. Not only did they get the double kill, but they also get mid tower from it, which was 5 plates.
Incredible start for Schalke. And now we arrive at one of the conflicts that we've been struggling with the entire time we've been preparing for this series, which is, who do we actually favor to come out on top? Because when you look historically, Fnatic are always beating Schalke. But when you look recently, the score is 3-1 to Schalke. 6-19. Schalke, 6 wins and 19 losses. Not a great look. Fnatic 6-1 over them in playoff series where it really, really matters. But recently, 3-1 in favor of Schalke. So if you're at home right now, we need you to help us settle something. Who is your favorite in the series? Who do you actually think is going to take it? Is it S04, S04, or FNC? Spam in the chat now. Let us know, because if this game is anything to base it off of, Schalke are certainly looking strong, but one thing we know for certain is it is going to be a bloodbath.
Yeah, it's going to be definitely a bloodbath. And the interesting thing to me about those historic 2 best-of-5s that Schalke and Fnatic have had, Upset was on Schalke both times in those best-of-5s. Now he's on Fnatic on the opposite side, and he's 2-0 in this game already, and he was so crucial in that win against SK. He was carrying the games. Can he be the factor that actually gets Fnatic that 3rd best-of-5 victory over Schalke? Well, that's the TC update on who they think will take this series. And they're playing towards the top side here. Looks like Schalke have gone for a swap. While we're talking there, it looks like Bwipo is going to get caught out. No flash.
Main stun connects from Limit. Easy follow-up. Bear stands for the follow-up stun if they need it as well. Bwipo just going to walk away from this one. Nisqy now coming in. Gold card comes in a bit late. There's just too many members on the top side for him really to follow up. And so far, an unanswered play by the side of Schalke. Purely positive for them.
Yeah, it looks like Upset on the other side of the map. I love to look at cross maps here. He's going to start hitting onto the bot tower. We'll get a lot of plates. He's already a level up of Neon. 20 CS ahead. We'll be able to get these plates. BrokenBlade has the TP if he wants to get down there and stop this wave from being pushing in. But who is your favorite? Schalke is favored.
It's beating Fnatic in a poll?
Oh man, who would have thought?
55 to 45. And you can see why we're struggling. You're struggling at home too. It's hard to say.
It's hard to say because you would expect Schalke to be the underdogs, but because of their performance against G2 and even their performance in this early game already, they're looking strong.
It's something that we have to watch. And I think the other thing that we need to talk about as that poll falls away is the fact that Limit has been everywhere in this game. Now, if you guys have been following Limit, you know, regular season, it was okay. It was kind of middling for support, but he, in that G2 series, was incredibly clutch. That Alistar ban, yes, it's a meta ban, but that Alistar ban was for Limit in picks and bans.
And the Rell first rotation was to take it away from Limit.
Exactly, but despite that, despite ending up on Leona, who many would call an A-tier champion compared to the S-tier, the Alistar and the Rell, is Bwipo. A little too frisky there on the top side. He is still making a massive impact in this game compared to Hylissang, one of the all-time best supports in our league. 1, 2, and 4, has participated in 5 out of 6 of his team's kills.
Yeah, 5 out of 6 of the kills. He punished the bot lane twice, he roamed mid and helped with the double kill as well. So he's really been everywhere. On top of that Bwipo catch in top side, so Limit's definitely been taking over this early game, and we expected Fnatic coming into the series with the favorable bots from just looking at them having the most 2v2 kills, being the most oppressive bot lane in the league. They should be able to shut down Limit, right? Wrong. He's already been all the way across the map at 30 minutes into the game. Schalke, as we take stock of the game itself, actually swapped up top side. They got a full top lane tower, and now they're swapping back to bot side. BrokenBlade's going top. He'll have the GP ult up soon to wave clear. And what did they lose for it? What did they lose on the other side of the map? Well, they lost the Drake, they lost the first one, now they've lost the second one, and they lost 3 plates in bot. So looking at the gold, you can see how that 2,000 gold lead's now transitioned into a 3,000 gold lead as Schalke looking to snowball this game.
And again, pressure on Schalke to continue to solidify this lead. Now, we've seen how good they can be when they're in an advantage state when they have these team fighting compositions, and they are set up to really dominate if they continue to extend this. Of course, BrokenBlade's still working towards the Essence Reaver, but we've got Mythics coming in from the 3 members in the middle of your scoreboard there. And
just one thing I want you guys to look at, because Selfmade had a fantastic performance against SK. He was the defining factor in the early game, but Gilius against G2 was doing also just as good, and he's 2 levels up on Selfmade. Did you see a TF ult into bot?
Gold card, Neon trying to get a little bit of damage back down, but that's a TP coming in. Gilius on the way as well, and Fnatic, they have overstayed their welcome. BrokenBlade now here, the Pirate looking for the shot. Will not find it, but Abbedagge over the wall. Ready to commit. Fnatic, do they want to take this fight? Both sides backing away for now. Now, keep in mind, it's 3.5 minutes till the Drake spawns. There's not a lot here outside of this bot lane tower. If Schalke want to make good on this play, they have to commit.
Yeah, bot lane tower has no plates left. They just fell off. I don't think they can look for a dive here. Bwipo has the ult, but Schalke might look for it anyway. Abbedagge can take away Bwipo's ult. We talked about it in the draft, but looks like they're going to back away. And Gilius, to me, has been playing amazing this game. He's a level up on Selfmade, was 2 levels up. He's so far ahead in farm. He's been first to every play. Yes, he did drop the dragons, but Gilius against G2 was the defining factor in the early game in getting Schalke some kind of lead.
And overall, one of the big questions on our mind from a meta perspective is, after the Hecarim, after the Volibear, which is the new rise of popularity, and after the Udyr, what's next? What do people pick? We can see here that it's the Olaf, it's not working out, and in this exchange, Fnatic are very fortunate that they make it out intact.
And that's a 2v3 engage that Fnatic went for. The Leona ult from Limit, again, hitting 2 people. Neon free hitting. There wasn't enough damage from Upset because he couldn't walk up in time because they were too far forwards in the engage. Schalke collapsed in time, and I think that all comes down to the item advantage that Neon had in that fight. But Schalke, they're not putting on the brakes. They're keeping this game going. We talked about a 2,000 gold lead. We talked about a 3,000 gold lead. Now look at it again. 3,500 gold lead. They're starting up the Herald. They want to keep this game going. Neon's into mid, and Schalke have gone into the 1-3-1, which we said from draft. If they can push out these side lanes and move mid, Fnatic are really going to struggle. Bwipo level 9 to Abbedagge's level 11. This side lane's going to be so tough for them.
And I think the other big thing that we have to look at, if we cast our mind back to last week in the Schalke series that they played against G2, we had a similar composition to this one in G2. Not in picks, but in terms of overall profile, which I will say is it's the TF mid lane. We have a no damage build. The only 2 sources of reliable damage right now in this Fnatic lineup are both the Olaf and the Xayah on the bottom side. And if Upset is not in a position to do damage, these team fights just aren't going to work out for them, because look at the sustain that's going to come through on Sylas. Look at the Kai'Sa that's going to be so hard to lock down. So I really feel like, as good as this comp should have been in the early game at kind of pushing out these lanes, it's going to be so hard for Fnatic to execute if it actually comes to full-on 5v5s.
Yeah, they lack a lot of damage, I must say. Wait, Nisqy's ulting up towards the top lane. Abbedagge's getting caught out.
Locked up. Abbedagge potentially overstaying his welcome. 400 heal, though, coming in from the W. Steals the Lulu wall, buys a bit more time. Hylissang trying to lock him out. The flash is still there. Another W going down. Not enough healing to save the day, though. Shutdown to Bwipo is massive.
Good play from Fnatic. They punish Abbedagge. That's very sloppy play there from Abbedagge. His whole team based, and he's pushing out a wave in front of the tier 2. Gets TF ulted on. Good catch from Fnatic. What can they get from it? Can they push out? Can they get some vision around the map? We'll have to see as Gilius 2 levels up again against Selfmade. Playing so well in this 2v2 in this jungle matchup. Going on to Selfmade here. Looks like he's chunking him out.
Selfmade can try to trade back, has the Gorge Ringer, but Gilius... The thing about Olaf is he's fast with the Ghost. Udyr's just always fast, especially when he has Phase Rush. So I just think that while normally, when we got really used to at the start of the season, seeing Olaf being this insanely dominant, unkillable champion, Udyr's just new and improved Olaf after all the nerfs.
Yeah, all the junglers are speedy boys, barring Nidalee, who can just jump over walls instead. So she's got a bit of a shortcut there as a top 4 meta junglers. Really going towards speed items. I think the key thing for that is the Ionian boots being so cheap. 900 gold is being picked up by most junglers' first item, going in towards the boots to get around the map faster. But looking at the game state itself, I think that the problem Schalke's facing right now is Fnatic's dragons, right? They've got 2 dragons, third dragon's coming up in 15 seconds. I wouldn't be surprised to see Abbedagge start moving down there now. Neon get the mid push. You can see BrokenBlade's just based. He's coming out of base with Gilius. All getting their items, all spending their gold before this dragon spawns, because I think that if they can deny this dragon, then they've got 10 minutes to work with before Fnatic can get the soul.
Some space maneuver, most certainly. Nisqy with a few more items. Upset steadily getting stronger, working on that essence reaver. Bwipo still yet to complete a major item. The TP coming mid lane. Looks like they could be ready for a fight here. Limit waiting in the darkness is spotted out by the control ward, of course. Does go wide on the ultimate. BrokenBlade has to be careful about stepping too far forward here. So hard for Gangplank to get a barrel change.
It's so hard to get in there. The Leona ult whiffed. They didn't actually find a pick so Kai'Sa could get in. But they're going to herald mid. They drop the dragon. Yes, Fnatic are on dragon soul point, but they herald mid. Fnatic are out of position. They use all their tempo towards this dragon. They have to get back to mid to contest. They might look for a 5v5, but the 5v5 before, Fnatic had full vision. Now Schalke have full vision. They have full control. They can choose to take this fight if they want to.
And they have another wave coming in on the top side. So even if they have to retreat, they can retreat up to top lane and continue to pressure across the map. Schalke in an excellent position here. Overall, Fnatic having 3 Drakes, again, the big concern. But it's Cloud Soul. And yes, ultimates are important for Fnatic, but to be honest, their composition needs damage. And Inferno could have won them the game flat out, but in this position, I don't think Soul saves them from what Schalke are doing across the map.
Yeah, definitely. The lack of damage is kind of amplified a little bit by the amount of CC they have. They have a lot of CC, the TF, the Rell, the Xayah route, the Lulu, and the Olaf slows. They have a lot to work with in terms of CC. That's why you saw Schalke struggle to get into that dragon pick, because once the Leona ult missed, they have no more forms of engage, and they couldn't find the backline. And if you can't find the backline against a Xayah Lulu, then you don't even want to go for their front line in the first place. So playing for tempo, playing for the mid tier 2, push out the waves, get some vision on the top side of the map. You can see the pink ward in their top side jungle. Just get some deep vision, base, spend our resources, come back out of the map. Look at Neon, 2 items. Fnatic Upset only has 1.5.
And the thing
just pick up 2.
Good news is he has Essence Reaver, you're right. The good news for Fnatic is, while Upset is their biggest primary damage output, fighting into Xayah is where he is going to thrive. As long as Schalke are coming to him, as long as Fnatic are first to the play and they have to walk through those feathers to get to him, he has more than enough damage to solo win a team fight. This champion is ludicrous. If he has to run towards Schalke, it's a very different story. But as long as Fnatic are fighting on their terms, they are still in a position to go toe-to-toe with Schalke, despite the 4K gold deficit.
Yeah, completely right. They need to make sure they don't over-chase into Fnatic's backline. Whereas Fnatic, I mean, Upset's your key carry here, right? You're the man he's looking at in these fights. And he was the one who showed up last weekend. So that's not a bad person to look at. He had a fantastic weekend against SK. 25 CSD at 15 as we see a TF ult coming onto limit.
Gold card on the limit, trying to shut down some of the engage options. Now the speed up coming in for the entire team. That's the Shirelias. A bit of extra damage on the next 2 autos. They're trying to lock down the support. They might get a few more to boot in the backside. GP ult coming down to buy a bit more space, but Limit has been taken out. Upset now walking out through the ultimate. Schalke don't want to overcommit on this play because they're pushing in both side lanes.
Fnatic get the kill, but how much have they invested? Both side lanes are pushed, like you said, Drakos. They're losing waves on sides. 1 kills 300 gold, but how much gold are you going to lose on these creeps? Schalke didn't collapse first with their side laners. Instead, they kept pushing. Fnatic were the ones to make the first move, and the Shirelias was crucial in getting Fnatic into the play, into the fight to get onto Limit, but they've lost top tier 2. They're losing waves in mid, they're losing waves in bot, so Fnatic, they need to make sure as soon as they get these picks, they base and they start collecting all these resources around the map, because otherwise you're going to fall further and further behind.
And while they got that pick, while they got that shutdown, and Limit, of course, no longer having Flash, that is going to matter in the fights to come. It is still Schalke with a 4,500 gold lead. They are getting stronger. Kai'Sa's only going to get scarier. GP ult is just going to be a 1 barrel chain into a team wipe if Schalke get to set this up the way that they want to. And now, as it's 20 minutes into the game, Baron's on the table. We're still a little bit far removed from that, but with tier 2s down across the board, it feels like Schalke have a pretty easy path to set up for these big objectives.
Yeah. Definitely, and look at the vision Fnatic have, as our observers pointed out. They have full vision in their own top side jungle, and then they have vision in the enemy's bot side jungle and bot side river. So Hylissang using all his wards alongside his team, I think that's the crucial thing, especially in pro play when you all base together. Look at the amount of pinks they have, you know, look at Schalke, 3 pinks in their inventory, Fnatic have pinks in their inventory. The key thing as a pro player, and even in solo queue, as soon as you base, always buy a pink. It saves lives.
I like how every time we cast, you have to get a little bit of solo queue propaganda in to try to save the quality of your EU West solo queue games.
Yeah.
I respect it.
Pinks save lives, man, I'm telling you.
How many times?
Limit, no flash.
Hold that thought. is now unstoppable, has been locked up, shutting down Limit. Gold card goes in. Easy pick for Fnatic. They have priority access to the next objective, but with the TP coming in, do Schalke try to extend this fight, even at a man disadvantage?
This was a really good pick from Fnatic, and Schalke, a small blunder there. They double TP'd to get nothing. They've used both of their global TPs to collapse on a play to get absolutely nothing. So now you can see both their Solonis running back to side lane trying to push. Fnatic staying grouped up. They're staying together. The Lulu and the Rell is enough frontline to work with the Rell and with the shields, with the Olaf as well. And then the utility coming out from Nisqy means it's so hard for Schalke to step up and find engages.
Abbedagge trying to sneak the crab, it looks like, just to get vision down on the Baron, knowing that that is something that Fnatic could threaten. Limit is, of course, alive now. Maybe they can look to commit. He's very slowly but surely working his way down the mid lane. Fnatic need to find an opportunity to reset here.
40 seconds on the Drake, 30 seconds on the Drake. Yeah, they need to find an opportunity to reset. Hylissang's out of wards, I think, and he wants to go back to base. Fnatic needs to contest this mid wave. If Schalke can push in here and move into the Dragon Pit, and they're the ones in control, it's going to be very hard for Fnatic to start to contest it. You can see them kind of split decision here. Do we go to mid wave and get it and then give up the pressure, or do we try and control mid as GP ult comes in?
They've split the team, they've split them up. They're just slaughtering Fnatic now. Upset needs to make his way out of there. He has to flash back to Savy. That GP ult forces Fnatic to split up and stops the fight in its track.
3 flashes from Fnatic. The only person with flash left is Hylissang, but that's really crucial. If he can find an engage, then they can get the fight going, but no flash is going to be really difficult. GP ult's down, Sylas ult is down, and so is Kai'Sa ult. It's support ultimate and flash versus support ultimate and flash. Who can find the engage first?
Hylissang trying to find it. He's managed to lock up 2. Selfmade just running in. He's using the ultimate. Upset on the back line. Untouched for now. Gilius on a rampage, but still, the Olaf is alive. And finally, Selfmade is turning back. Limit taken down. Upset still standing. Abbedagge, BrokenBlade, Gilius, the top side of Schalke. What can they do? Leap in from Abbedagge. Will not find the abduct. Looking for the Kingmaker. He will find the kill, however, and it will be the Cloud Drake over to the side of Schalke. Cloud Soul denied.
That's crucial. That buys Schalke more time. Yes, the Cloud Soul is arguably the weakest one in the game, but it's so strong on their champions. TF with the movement speed ult, Lulu with the movement speed buff, Xayah as well. So that's a really big team fight for Schalke. And I think that their initial play, the initial fight to split up Fnatic, force all their flashes, was a crucial decision making. You saw Fnatic was so split in what they want to do. They didn't know where they want to go. Do they want to contest mid? Do they want to keep the vision? But Hylissang found the engage, and you can see how fast the front line of Schalke actually fell. I mean, the 3 key members here were Gilius, Abbedagge, and BrokenBlade, because Neon gets taken down by Selfmade.
And this is the thing about the Olaf. The damage threat, the ability to be un-CCable does mean that even in these mid to late game stages, he can, if given access to your backline, just one-shot your AD carry. So you can see the hope for Fnatic, how they can win these fights. But Schalke, so crucially, you don't see it in the replay, and I think we can't highlight it enough. The ultimate from BrokenBlade to split Fnatic in the previous play leading up to that flight was what made it so successful for Schalke.
Yeah, Selfmade doing a lot of damage in that last fight, and I think a lot of people... Bwipo got taken down in that fight, right? And a lot of people think, well, if they have a Lulu comp, I just need to kill their AD carry. He's the only source of damage. But when the Lulu falls, the AD carry is really, really vulnerable. And that's exactly what Schalke did in that fight. They targeted Bwipo first, and they don't want to tunnel vision onto the AD carry, the Xayah, which can kite them around with the ult, with the shields. Instead, let's kill the Enchanter first, and then look to the AD carry afterwards.
Caedrel, I'm one of those people. I did not expect Olaf. I mean, this champion's been nerfed so many times. I know he can be a damage threat. I didn't expect him to be able to walk through all of Schalke like that to just one-shot the enemy AD carry. That's such a big strength now for Fnatic overall. That said, Schalke collapsing on the top side. They're clearing out vision. They're pushing in across the lanes. They're going to be the ones with priority access to the Baron. With so many damage threats on their team too, it should be a relatively quick Baron if they're given time to do it. But importantly, as highlighted by observers, 2 wards spot Schalke going over the wall, heading into the pit. Fnatic know what's up. That said, 6K
Baron's almost down.
Getting lower. Selfmade, no flash, no ghost. He does have ultimate, but it's too little too late. Fnatic now either need to force a fight or get out because Schalke have secured the Baron. Fnatic did not contest them.
Fnatic don't have any engage when Rell has no flash. They want to counter-engage it here. Fnatic are kind of split up.
Scon abduct will not connect. Gilius now running forward. That's going to be the chem tank gone. Hylissang trying to sidestep. Stolen Lulu ult. Can't use it on Gilius when Gilius gets close enough. Leaping forward. Hylissang now on the retreat, trying to dash away. Nisqy trying to find the Sun card, but no. Schalke leaping forward. Neon leaping forward. They're pushing in. Neon going over the side. Just going to one-shot Bwipo immediately. Isolated on the Acathian Rain. And Schalke are wiping the floor with Fnatic in this fight. They will not be stopped. Baron buff is here. They might just push for the win.
Yeah, Nisqy and Upset, the ones defending the base. We've seen this before, but they don't have as much tools as they did last time. We'll see if they can defend this base. 30 seconds on the other members of Fnatic, 10 seconds on Hylissang. And I think the key blunder there was Nisqy used his Twisted Fate ultimate, but he carried on pushing top, so Schalke saw the 4v5. They engaged it, they found the fight. Hylissang's up in 3 seconds though. Can they defend the Nexus? 15 seconds on Selfmade.
1 tower down. Will they lose their cool here? Will they overcommit? Schalke stepping forward. Abbedagge ready to go in, dashing right back out. Looks like Schalke want to retreat. Cast connects, but Schalke will back off. They know that they've already found a massive win. They've still got 2 minutes left of the Baron, and they've already broken open the base of Fnatic. Caedrel, this is massive for Schalke.
Yeah, this is huge for Schalke. They're so far ahead. Why risk the end? Why risk going for the Nexus like SK did against Fnatic, where Fnatic can clean you up and then look to take map control? Yes, in that case, they got Elder and Baron for it. You won't get as much this time, but they can find some kind of ways back with the shutdown. Now look, Nisqy used the Twisted Fate ultimate to spot out all of Schalke, but the big thing is Nisqy just uses ultimate top, you see? And then Schalke spot this out. The GP ult instantly comes in. Guys, let's fight this. Nisqy has no TP, no Twisted Fate ultimate. Finally engaged, so Schalke chasing them down. And we said it's difficult for Schalke if they overchase into Fnatic. But if you have a numbers advantage, you can always go for it.
Absolutely can. And the thing for Upset is that he has no room to play because he has no front line to body block for him. The Lulu, kind of that fake front line, but once they're on the back foot against this composition, you can see how they just get run down. Yeah,
and you saw Abbedagge there take away Bwipo's ultimate, the Lulu ultimate, right? So if Selfmade's trying to dive the backline with the buffs and trying to assassinate Neon, if Abbedagge can just use the Lulu ultimate on Neon himself, Selfmade really doesn't have any options to find any kills. But looking at the game right now, we still got the Baron buff onto Schalke. Mid inhibs down. Looks like they're setting up in a 1-4. 4 members towards the bot side, and then Abbedagge is going to push in mid, playing on 2 lanes. Now this should be able to crack open the bot tower. You have 2 pressure points on the map, whereas Fnatic only have 1, as you saw Bwipo and Selfmade pushing out top to deny as much tempo on the top side, but now they need to defend bot. How do they defend this siege from Schalke, who have so much resources here? I wouldn't be surprised to look for some kind of dive or GP ult them to force them off the tower and then just hit it in their face.
And the thing is, last week, Nisqy? Zanya's down. Schalke have seen that. That's going to be one very vulnerable TF. He does have flash. That is good news. GPL just paving the way for Schalke to walk in. They don't really want to fight. They'll take one if Hylissang wants to look for it. However, clutch engage from Hylissang. He does manage to hit forward, but Abbedagge still with the Lulu ult up and available. He's going to keep Limit living for now. Back off from Selfmade, though. Just focused on clearing the wave. They're not really able to find any purchase. They get no kills down. They trade Limit for it. Fnatic are holding on.
Yeah, important to note, though, the Nexus towers have fallen. Fnatic have an open Nexus. If they overchase here, Abbedagge can TP into the base. There is a wave. Pops a stopwatch. Does upside out the feathers.
Goes golden. Dash out. Flash from Abbedagge. Still up and available. Selfmade in the meantime focused on clearing the waves. And open Nexus is bad news. If Abbedagge steals TF ult, could be a quick finish for him.
Yeah, you could see Schalke kind of overreaching there. As a Twisted Fate ultimate comes out from Nisqy. He's TPing behind them. It's a 4v5. Limit's not here.
Nisqy without a lot of mana. Neon's just going to walk in. Goes golden. Neon just going to go for the 1v1. He knows Nisqy has no damage. He has no stopwatch. It's just too easy. Schalke find the kill. But now trying to turn it back. Upset untouched for now. Keep your eyes on that 80 carry. Neon walking in, walking out. They do not want to overcommit. They got the dragon. That is what they came for. They will not fight for anything else.
The biggest thing here is Fnatic has an open Nexus. If they ever drop the ball and they don't push out the mid wave, Abbedagge is going to TP in with BrokenBlade, and the game is just over. So Fnatic need to be so careful on these waves already hitting onto the Nexus. And they did eventually get some kind of picks, but they lost the dragon, they lost Nisqy, and I think maybe if he had stopwatch there, maybe he could have bought more time. But Fnatic needs to stay together. You can see them defending the tier 3. When they're together, they can win the fights. But the problem is, Bwipo's build to me is odd. Everfrost into Putrefier. But don't you just want to go towards Moonstone or something like this? I just feel like the supportive build's not quite there yet. And yes, Nisqy's picked up his Rapid Fire Cannon, but the supportive items of Fnatic are slowly building up, but they're just not quite there yet.
And the thing is, Caedrel, if we come into playoffs and you show me a game like this, I would say it's absolutely potential for either of these teams to throw it away. I would still very much say that Fnatic are in this, but we've seen what Schalke did versus G2. This is not a team who loses their footing easily in a best-of-5. And if they're not going to, honestly, if they're not going to choke against G2, they're not going to choke in this moment against Fnatic. It'd be hard to believe. But that said, that's just how I feel. I got to know, if you are at home, do you think Fnatic can come back in this game? It feels impossible, but Fnatic faithful, are you out there? Do you think it can be done? Because I don't see the path to success, Caedrel. The question is, do the people at home?
I think there's so many interesting intricacies as to where Schalke can end this game and actually take it away, and Fnatic can't find a comeback. Because the problem is, if they do find a winning team fight and they overchase, Abbedagge can take Nisqy's ult and then ult into their Nexus, the double TP. There's so many options for Schalke to just look for a backdoor. If there was one Nexus tower up, I think there is some hope for Fnatic. But being down double Nexus tower, open Nexus, it's so difficult to leave your base. Look at Fnatic. They're all standing in their base. They're putting pinks down. They know if a double TP comes in or a ward or some kind of backdoor, an E over the wall from Abbedagge puts a ward, BrokenBlade comes in. They've just lost the game. Just like that. Click of a finger. So they need to be very careful. If Schalke can get this Baron, I think that's lights out for Fnatic.
And the tensions are high, and Schalke are continuing to push their vision line forward. The map is getting smaller and smaller for Fnatic. But it's important, Caedrel, to remember how we got here. It was a bloodbath in the early game. But that single mid-lane skirmish where Abbedagge stole the ultimate, where he outplayed, feels like it is what set Schalke up to win this game. They've been snowballing ever since they've been in total control, and you can see 17% think Fnatic can come back. 82% feel like it is a certainty that Schalke have won this game, and I'm inclined to agree with the 82% right now.
Yeah, I think Schalke's early game, like you said, in the mid 2v2 was fantastic. The way they snowballed the mid tower, then going top with that bot lane, taking top tower, only losing 3 plates bot, then swapping back to bot. It was just really nice to see the dance around the map. And now Fnatic have to contest the Baron with no Nexus tower. So if they overchase and Abbedagge goes into their base, they're going to lose their Nexus. So what do you give up? Do you give Baron up? Do you give up your Nexus? Looks like they're trying to couch out Abbedagge though.
Stolen TF ultimate can just turn right back. Remember, TF doesn't do that much damage, and frankly, neither does Hylissang. Abbedagge is, for now, having a field day. Bwipo on the way in, does going to be able to do a little bit more. GP ult coming in just to try to back up Abbedagge. He has no room to TP out. He has no room to heal back up. Fnatic will find the pick.
That polymorph lasted so long. Abbedagge couldn't use anything. Couldn't use a stopwatch. Couldn't use a W to heal himself up. Now Schalke, they got the Baron, but they're a member down. Can Fnatic find an engage? Hylissang doesn't have the ult. He doesn't have the flash. It's going to have to be Selfmade running at them with some kind of Lulu speed if they want to find a fight. But again, if they overchase, the TPs can come in top, they can come in bot, and they might be at a risk of a backdoor. So Schalke, giving up a member for Baron, that's always worth it. I mean, 1 minute 30 on the Cloud Dragon as well. It's not the biggest objective on the map. It's not super important, but it will get Schalke later and later towards that Cloud Soul, which in turn leads to an Elder Dragon. And again, contesting Elder Dragon when you have no Nexus towers is even more difficult than contesting the Baron.
And normally I don't really care about Cloud, but it is a GP, it is a Sylas who is stealing ultimates. It's Neon whose ultimate essentially nullifies what Olaf can do if he has a marked target in the enemy backline. So it is a big deal. It does add up, and certainly a 4 Cloud Soul would be pretty impossible for an Olaf to play against, because as good as that movement speed steroid is for Fnatic, it is also incredibly bad for them to play against if you are getting outrun by the enemy team.
Yeah, definitely. So how's Fnatic setting up on the map? You can see they're still clumped up together, 4-man in mid, and one person keeps going into side to push out. So they can only really play a one-on-one lane at one time. So look at Schalke's map. You can see the 2 solo laners on both sides, and they're grouped up as 3 in mid. So that means they have 3 pressure points on the map. Where does Fnatic want to target first? Do they want to catch out BrokenBlade? Do they want to catch out Abbedagge? But the problem is, whoever you target first, the other 2 lanes are going to be running it down and pushing. So if you commit 3 members top, and it's a 4v2 in your Nexus, you've lost the game. So Fnatic need to be really, really smart in how they apply their resources around the map to stop Schalke's siege, because if you don't stop it, it's just going to end the game regardless.
The good news is they have the ultimate from Nisqy as well as the TP from Bwipo. If they need to use those defensively to get back to their base, it certainly is an option. That said, never ideal when you're forced to use those tools in that manner.
Looks like looking for Abbedagge again.
Coming through. He's going to dodge out on the gold card and just back away. Now they've stolen it, but just as you said, Caedrel, the second you make a play on one side, they make a play back on the opposite side. Bwipo has now been caught out. That's the GP ult coming in. Gilius now dominating. Bwipo taken down. Upset has to cleanse, is forced to get it out, but maybe Hylissang can turn it back. There's so many feathers on the ground. Keep your eyes on Upset. The pull back through will get something done, but not nearly enough. It's only 1 kill for Upset. Yes, he's on a rampage, but Schalke just obliterating Fnatic, the pull back in, and that's going to do it. Caedrel, Schalke close out game 1 so cleanly.
Yeah, Fnatic tried to find the pick. They tried to punish the side lane, but the problem is they lost the game. They overcommitted resources. Schalke punished it, instantly engaging topside. They managed to pick up the win, and the problem is when you're up against a team that's so far ahead with an open Nexus, you really cannot afford to look for these fights because there's not enough resource. You don't have the gold, you don't have the vision, you don't have the items to find the fight. And it's almost like you're in a chess game and you just keep getting checked. There's nothing you can do. And eventually, checkmate, Schalke win game 1.
Continue to build those advantages, continue to mention more and more situations would go in their favor. Solid preparation coming in for Schalke, immediately having an answer to the Twisted Fate. Abbedagge making good on that Sylas pick, and overall, a strong game 1 for Schalke. Fnatic, the question is, we know it's back to the drawing board, or we would expect. Do they run it back? Do they try something new? They will have side selection in game 2. They were forced onto red by Schalke as the higher seed in game 1. Maybe we see a bit of a mix-up here.
Yeah, definitely choosing blue side is much better. You can target ban, try the biggest OP. Maybe throw a HECR in ban, first pick Udyr, put something the Gilius isn't so comfortable, and maybe the Schalke will run back a card does not.
There's a lot of options.
But the key thing is they played so well with such a standard comp from Schalke.
There is. With such a standard true. Worst toss of my life. Schalke started the series with a win. After that break, Sjokz, Ender, and Zanzarah are going to tell you all about it.
Lovely.
Lovely.
They are out there, waiting to be discovered. Some of them are big, and some of them are small. But that's the thing with ideas. They don't just come to you. To find them, you have to move. Kia. Movement that inspires.
You don't have a chance against me. I can calculate 90 trillion moves in advance. Not fair. Not fair.
Red Bull gives you wings.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Analysts, where Schalke 04 are off to a great start in the lower bracket. They took down Fnatic in a convincing win in this game. It was quite a crazy one to start out with. Let's take a look at the draft together with Zanzarah and Ender. We talked so much about the bottom lane when we got into this series, and once again in the draft we see a big emphasis on that lane as well, Ender.
Yeah, I mean, already you had the All-Star ban very early on. Fnatic wanted to take the Rell too, so it was trying to push the limit, of course, down the ban phase a little, or down the pick phase a little bit more. And I was in the green room watching this draft, and I loved seeing the Gangplank and the Leona come in last year, because Leona next to the Kai'Sa, you want something that can sort of proc her passive easily, give her some dive threat, and then once you put a GP on top of that, GP ult is always going to help you blow that Xayah's ult, because all you're trying to do is get that Xayah ult out of there, a Zenith Blade now, you're in range to try and make her pop that, then you can follow up with Solar Flare.
Two questions I want to ask Zanzarah about the draft. First up is, when this draft came out, you immediately typed to her on Discord together, you said supportive, it's going to be supportive. Why did you say that?
Yeah, I mean, I can say that even before the draft, I think, and as we saw, Limit did a lot in the early mid game, what kind of snowballed the game for the Schalke favor. But I think overall, just Limit performing pretty well, and we saw this game clearly. He was everywhere. He killed top, he killed mid, and he died bot, but for health, so it was positive.
It was worth. You also talked about the top lane matchup. You said, I can't imagine Bwipo is not going to pick something crazy or this or that this time around on the Lulu. What did you make of the top lane matchup and how it played out in this game, Zanzarah?
Yeah, I kind of didn't expect Lulu. Yeah, I understand this is kind of the lane bully pick, what you want to use like pressure of, and it's kind of more for like slower games, and I don't really like see how it works for Fnatic, because Fnatic it's always like blood buff, always random skirmishes happening, people just tipping for randomly. So I thought Bwipo will just go for like Riven, this kind of thing for into GP, and they'll just play with Olaf into him. But he chose to just go Lulu, and I think at some point of the game he was even like minus in CS, so I was not really sure. Maybe it works in scrims, but in on stage it didn't really like do much, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think there is theory there, right? Like Lulu plus Olaf, obviously a strong combination if Selfmade's getting ahead like you'd expect. I also think that they were trying to set up for an early gank on the top side of the map. Lulu was trading like super aggressively into the GP, trying to make the lane volatile, but then you have to compare the two junglers, and you had like a level 4 Udyr that can easily fight for top crab, especially because GP had push, so there wasn't really that same window that Selfmade, I think, would have liked to make an impact in the top lane. And I think that because we saw the bot lane sort of fall apart and then Schalke speed up the game, the Olaf was never in a position where the Lulu was right there to make him a machine in the fight.
Yeah, and as you say, it was the bot lane where everything was popping off very early. Zanzarah, we're going to take a look at some of the replays. What went down there in the bot lane?
I'm not sure. Not sure what happened. Not sure. Like I think Hylissang had like listened to like some country music and just choose to like go somewhere. I don't know what is going on,
yeah,
but it's like Hylissang thing. I think everyone know, like familiar with that one. So yeah, he just like 3 first block. At least he forced flash from limits. So it's at least not that bad. At least not that bad.
True.
But I think Fnatic bot lane didn't really perform well in this game, and kind of Schalke start their snowball from bottom, I think. Then they just Limit start like traveling around the map and getting it everywhere. So.
Yeah, no, it wasn't like Fnatic weren't able to get anything right. They got a kill at the end there. There was some trading back and forth in bot lane. I expect to see this continue. Our bot lane very, very volatile, very, very bloody, and the teams that can get involved around there are going to be successful. And that's where another element of the Schalke draft I thought was very good. Responding Sylas into the Twisted Fate. They can both run TP. Sylas can grab his ultimate. Always has that threat of being able to follow it up. So it didn't seem like Fnatic really able to make full use out of a global like that.
That's true. And then we also need to talk about Limit, who we said had a lot of great roaming moments already in the last Best of 5. Now, what is particularly interesting about this is that Limit's dual proximity to his laner Neon was actually very high. It just means that he decided to roam very efficiently, Zanzarah, and that's something very impressive.
Yeah, but actually, like, I want to point out, overall, Limit didn't really do something insanely smart. He just moved, he just base and moved to mid, and Fnatic know what he's from base, but looks like Fnatic doesn't really care about that. They don't really respect that, and it happened like 2 times, I think, this game, when Fnatic just made a play, when Limit's supposed to be mid lane, supposed to be top lane. And it's really like strange, I think, and because Limit did the same in the first round versus G2. But I'm not sure, like, Fnatic was not ready for that, and they just lost the game.
Well, the crucial thing to look at in both those replays and most of Limit's roams, he was always basing 15, 20 seconds ahead of Hylissang. So while Limit is making the play, Hylissang is just leaving the fountain. It's these windows that you absolutely have to respect. And the Fnatic were, you know, caught flat-footed because they're like, oh, well, my support's in base. Surely Limit can't be in my lane. Well, he is because they had the bot lane prio. They were the ones basing first and getting that window.
And funnily enough, that's something that I also identified to Hylissang always in the past, right? He would sometimes show up top lane or whatever, and you wouldn't expect it and make a big play. In this case, though, it's Limit that gets the upper hand and helps his team to set everything up. There were some moments in the mid-game where Fnatic got a pick here and there, but at the end of the day, Zanzarah, it was Schalke. Talk to me about this Baron fight that's coming up. It wasn't really a fight. In fact, Schalke just thought we're going to take it, and they did, and then the fight. Do you think that Fnatic could have done anything differently in that mid to late game?
To be honest, I think with the draft, game kind of was decided in the first 10 minutes. So I don't think... actually, Fnatic did pretty well from what they have in the mid game. They cut limits and Abbedagge several times. But overall, Schalke, after this lit in early game, and especially after this Nash, they can just go group S5 and take the Nexus. So what actually happened after this fight?
Yeah, I think Fnatic were a little cautious here because we saw they didn't have great vision, even though they knew that Schalke were on the Baron. As soon as that ward goes away, well, Schalke could be sitting in a brush there waiting till everyone can sort of walk into the river at the same time, but frankly, it was just too late.
It was. Great win from Schalke here in game 1. We had kind of a dicey situation there at the end. There's going to be a fight after this, but they make it work. So, Ender, of course, I have to call out the prediction and the faith you had. You said, well, you said these teams are going to be close together, but I think Fnatic is going to edge it out. Obviously, Schalke takes this first game. What do you think you want to see from them in order to get that win on the board game 2?
Well, I think that, the bot lane situation from Hylissang, yes, it's just one moment, but I think it did spiral into a little bit more, and, maybe making some of his roam timings and reset timings a little bit awkward compared to Limit. So I think, obviously that I want to see change. And then further from that, I think Bwipo should go away from the Lulu. Not that it was, anything wrong with this pick, but I don't really love the Lulu plus Olaf, put a lot on the Olaf into this composition. I would rather see, a stronger laner that they can try to contest around the top side with if they want to play towards the top
I think I know what you mean. It's a great draft like that, but is it also a great draft for Fnatic?
Yeah, exactly. Because, the other thing is, how are you forcing fights with that duo around the top side? You can only really force the all-in if GP's hitting the tower or if Twist Fate is coming top side. So I'd rather see more individual agency for someone like Bwipo.
All right, let's see what happens. Today's series is a direct elimination match, so we'll see if Fnatic can answer back in a few minutes.